Hi, my name is William Kovatch. I am a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for over 20 years now. And as I've said in earlier videos, I am the first lawyer in my family. So when I went to law school, I knew absolutely nothing about the law business. And my goal is to explain the law business. I'm hoping to reach people who may be interested in going to law school, people who may think they want to be a lawyer, and reach them before you go to law school to explain something about the law business so you know what you're getting into and so it will help you shape your career. This week, what I want to talk about is debt, law school debt. My name is William Kovatch, and I've been a lawyer for over 20 years. I was the first in my family to become a lawyer, and when I went to law school, I knew nothing of the law business. Through this series of videos, I hope to give you some inside information on how the law business works, and maybe help those who may be considering law school on how to shape their career. So when I went to law school, it was beginning 1994, 1995. And at the time, this was when we had the first Republican takeover of Congress in 40 years. The Republicans had not held the House of Representatives since the 1950s, and this was the first time in 40 years that we had a Republican majority in the House. Part of that was Newt Gingrich going around. He was the new Speaker of the House. He was the leader of the Republican Party in the House of Representatives. He was becoming the Speaker of the House. And he was making the rounds to, talk up the Republican majority and the Republican agenda. I remember watching a show on MTV. And it was a show that was concentrating on politics. Newt Gingrich came to talk to students about various issues. One of the issues that was discussed was student loans. And, think about this. Student loans is a big issue now. People talk about how millennials have been saddled with a lot of school debt. True. It kind of ignores that it's not just millennials. Generation X, we were saddled with a lot of school debt as well. And, just to show you, 1994, they were talking about the issue of student loans in 1994 because it was already a problem. And the attitude, why I'm telling you this story, the attitude was, remember it was a law student who was talking with Speaker Gingrich and bringing up the issue of law school debt and how big it was and how there has to be something done about student loans. And Gingrich's response was, well, you're going to become a lawyer. Why should you worry about debt? You'll be able to pay it off, no problem. And that's the thing. That's a very common misconception out there among the public. Oh, you're going to be a lawyer. You're going to make tons of money. You shouldn't worry about student loan debt. That's bull. Complete bull. And, I'll explain it to you. I mean, first of all, to get those jobs, are there jobs where you can make in excess of $100,000 coming straight out of law school, in excess of $150,000 coming straight out of law school? Are there jobs like that? Yes, absolutely they are. Where are they? They're with the large law firms. Okay, great. How do I get those jobs? Well, you know what? Getting those jobs is not as easy as you think. Getting those jobs and keeping those jobs is even harder. Getting those jobs, keeping those jobs, and liking your life is almost impossible. Yes, I have a big bias against the large law firm and the large law firm life. We can talk more about that later. What's really important is to talk about student debt, because the truth is that the price of education has been growing exponentially for well over 30 years. It's been growing, outpacing inflation for well over 30 years. And all during that time, it gets pushed on us that you need a college education in order to succeed. You need a higher education because everyone's getting a college degree now. And, if you want a profession, a law profession, or if you want to become an architect, or you want to become a businessman, you need an advanced degree, a law degree, an MBA, a Master's of Architecture, a doctorate, right? And all that is pushed on us, which means you need to spend more money on your schooling. And there's a culture. There's a culture that was within the financial aid office of, we're going to find a way to get the students to qualify for the loans. So if you went into your student office, your financial aid office, and you are having issues, especially when you were in law school, you're having issues, you go in, and the financial aid officer will sit there with a calculator and books, and okay, if we structure it like this, blah, 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 and have a big plan, we can somehow structure it so that your semester actually starts on this date and you're qualified to roll over to a new set of loans on this date, and then we can go and borrow a lot more money. Oh, great, I can get more money and I can pay for my expenses and pay for my tuition, and I don't have to worry about it. What that does is it just keeps locking you into getting the loans, so that by the time you leave law school, it is not unusual to have in excess of $100,000 in student loan debt. Even if you go to a reasonably priced law school, it's not unusual to come out of law school with over $100,000 in debt. That means you're starting your career, your law school career, essentially with a mortgage. Right? You haven't even bought a house. You're now starting your law school career with a mortgage, which means you have the pressure to go and to work for the big law firms to get the money. Because let's face it, if you're interested in environmental law, you want to work for an organization that promotes environmental awareness and good environmental practices, it's going to be a nonprofit and you're not going to make a lot of money. You want to help prison reform, criminal law reform, right? Maybe you see the injustice that's in our society when it comes to the way criminal law is implemented. So you want to work for reform. Guess what? If you want to work for an organization that's going to push this, the ACLU, you're not going to make a lot of money. Okay, let's say you want to work for the government. Government's got opportunities, right? Sure, you work for the government. You're going to make more than if you work for a nonprofit, but you're not going to make anywhere near what you're going to make in a big law firm. You're going to make half, maybe, of what you make in a big law firm. And because of that, that debt, it'll be paid down, and little by little it'll be paid down, but it's still going to be there. And it's going to haunt you, and it's going to impact your ability to do other things, to buy a house, to have a family. It's all going to be there. But the thing is, the law school life puts this pressure on you to incur that debt. So take, for example, it's encouraged that you take the opportunity to do something like a study abroad program. When should you do a study abroad program? Well, if you listen to the conventional wisdom, you should do it after your first year. So after your first year, go out, find a study abroad program. How do you pay for it? Well, that's when the financial aid officers come in. They do their magical tricks. Oh, I can qualify you to get a loan so that you can go to XYZ program and go over to, Japan for a summer semester. Okay, great. But you're incurring debt. Okay. Second year, you're supposed to go and have a summer clerkship with a law firm, which, by the way, those are interesting. They wine and dine you and try to recruit you to become there permanently. And in some ways, I've heard people say it gives you a false impression of what it's really like to work as an associate in a large law firm. We'll probably talk about that in a later video. But then you have your third year, after you've graduated law school, before you go and you join your law firm or whatever job. You've got that whole summer. Now, it is discouraged that you work. Actively discouraged that in your summer after you graduate law school that you work. Instead, the advice is you take that summer and you focus on studying for the bar exam. Now, dirty fact of life they don't tell you going into law school. One, law school does not teach you to pass the bar exam. You can go through law school, all 3 years, graduate, top of your class, and you may have not addressed all of the subjects that will be in your state's bar exam. Absolutely, positively possible. In particular, if you're choosing a state like Pennsylvania or California or New York, the breadth of subjects that are on those state bar exams is wide. And you may have not taken courses on some of the things that are going to be tested on the bar exam. Okay, well then how am I supposed to pass? What am I supposed to do? Well, you could study on your own. And if you study on your own, are you going to do a passable job? Well, you could. It's going to take a lot of hard work there because you're going to have to do the research and figure out what am I going to be tested on, what are the rules of law. And if you're going from one law school, let's say you went to law school in Pennsylvania like I did, and you're taking the bar exam in New York like I did. Well, New York workers' compensation law, New York secure transaction law, New York insurance law. These are all topics that could be on the New York bar exam that you're not going to touch in a Pennsylvania law school. How are you even going to know how to start to research those issues so you're competent enough to write an essay on a law bar exam test? It's possible, but not likely. So what's the solution? Bar review courses. And I remember this from my first year in law school. I'm already spending thousands of dollars in tuition to get a law degree. I'm already spending a lot of money, and I'm living in my grandmother's house to try to save money and taking the subway to school every day. Again, trying to save money so I'm not overspending. I see these advertisements for bar review. The bar review sets up in the lobby of the law school, and they're there. They've hired students to help push it. They're friendly, they're outgoing, but all the while I'm thinking, why do I need to spend yet another couple $1,000s? As at the time in the 90s, I think it was like a $3,000 cost. It may have been more, quite frankly, because what I remember, the solution was you have to pay the money to take another class, which is essentially a crash course in all the law that you need to know for the bar exam, that you should have learned in law school, but you're not. All the law that you need to know for the bar exam, but it costs you money. They encourage you not to work, but you've got to pay for your expenses over the summer. And their solution to it, we have a loan. We have a bar study loan. So for that summer, just take out, at the time it was another $7,000. It will pay for your bar review, and then you'll have money that you can live on while you're studying and only studying for the bar exam. So again, you're being pushed more and more loans to go more and more in debt, all because the law schools are not preparing you for actual law practice or even to pass the bar exam. So, that's just the reality. And this is not to scare you out of going to law school and becoming a lawyer if you're not at all familiar with law school practices. My goal here is simply to make sure you understand. If this is what you're going into, understand you're going to be pushed into debt. Understand that there are going to be these opportunities and incentives out there that are going to cost money. And if you are coming from a working class background like I am, how are you going to afford it? You need to take a loan. And if you take that loan, you're going to have to pay it back. And you're not going to get any pity from the general public because their perception is going to be, oh, well, you're a lawyer. You're just going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars when you get out of law school. And the reality is, except for the people who go to the big law firms, that's not true. You're going to barely make maybe $50,000 to $100,000 coming out of law school, and then you're going to have to work hard with that debt over your head until you can get rid of it. So that's the reality of law school debt. Again, not trying to scare you out of it. Just hope that you've gained enough information and knowledge that you can plan that through when you're considering how you're going to go about your law school career. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. If there are any topics you would like me to address in the future, please let me know in the comments below. Now, I don't like talking about this, but I am currently disabled because of complications following cancer surgery. If you're feeling generous, I'll have a link to my PayPal account in the description below. Thank you.